You're watching TelecomTV from MEF16 in Baltimore. And I'm joined now by Josh Goodell, VP Network on Demand at AT&T. Josh, good to see you again on TelecomTV. Now, today, the first day of the MEF16 event, AT&T and Colt have announced an SDN interoperability trial. What does that mean? What's the significance for the industry?
Yeah, so first of all, it's a pleasure to be back. And I think a year ago I talked about certain key drivers of what we're trying to do with Network on Demand. And it really comes down to agility, flexibility, control, and these are things that you haven't historically thought about in the context of a network solution. With our first service, which we talked about a year ago, AT&T switched Ethernet on demand, we were just getting started. And those same value propositions have continued to be value propositions that are driving the market. And what we've seen with that first service is, I think at the time we probably had about 300 customers, which I was very proud of. We currently have over 1,300 customers. And so the demand is strong, and it really falls back to those core principles of agility, flexibility, control. Technology enables that, and customers are interested in it.
So are these pieces, they're more like enablers, they're technology enablers. It's not the end goal, it's a way to get to the end goal.
Customers don't wake up in the morning and say, I need to get me some SDN or NFV. They're interested in what those technologies enable, and they enable the same value drivers that I mentioned earlier. And so all we're doing is finding ways to deliver that value to customers.
And where does orchestration fit in with this?
If you think about what AT&T is doing, I think one of the things that's a little bit unique with AT&T's approach is we've really thought about reorganizing and re-architecting our entire network to meet the demands of video traffic on the network. And this is about our core network. Orchestration is really just a piece of that, and what we're doing is utilizing that same re-architected network to deliver differentiated services to our customers.
Now, you give a keynote presentation at the MEF16 event this year, and one of the things that was mentioned was Flexware.
Yeah.
What exactly is Flexware, and how does it fit in the portfolio?
So it's really interesting. We think across multiple dimensions. I think about an SDN core, which AT&T switched to Ethernet, which I mentioned is a good example of that. Another good example of that is AT&T dedicated internet on demand, another service that we've launched this year. But those are core services really going out towards the edge of the network. Flexware is an example of what we're doing on the edge of the network. And what we're doing is taking the traditional approach of proprietary boxes out on the edge of the network and really turning that model on its head. And so what we have now is a model where customers will have a single device on the edge that can run multiple functions on that device, whether it be routing, WAN acceleration, security, and they can dynamically choose what functions they want. So it's a lot of the same value drivers around on-demand, control, simplicity, but delivered on the edge of the network. And it pairs very nicely with what we're doing within the core of the network.
So is this where we're going to see the evolution of on-demand services? They're going to go more towards the edge, and really what is the significance of edge services?
First of all, I don't believe there's a single silver bullet. I think we're transforming the way networking is done, and it will be a combination of services that are in the core as well as the edge. We think holistically about this. So AT&T switched Ethernet and AT&T dedicated internet, I think, are driving value in the core. Flexware is going to drive value on the edge. And the combination of those and being able to do all of that for a customer is unique in the ecosystem. And we believe that customers are going to pick and choose. Some will want all of these, some may just want one or two.
And where does SD-WAN fit in the picture? Because this is something we seem to have been hearing a lot more about in the past 12 months.
I don't know that we talked about SD-WAN last year. It's really amazing how that technology has taken off. I don't know that there's a technology that's hotter in the industry right now. And so SD-WAN is just another element of the strategy for us. So you have the core services, you have the flexible edge, and we have an SD-WAN solution. I think what's a little bit different with our approach to SD-WAN is that it's tied in with our Flexware service. So when we talk about having a flexible device on the edge of the network that can run multiple functions, our SD-WAN solution will run SD-WAN on the edge as well as other functions as well. So it's a much more flexible approach than what you see with traditional SD-WAN providers.
Now, today, at the opening day of MEF16, AT&T has announced an SDN interoperability trial with Colt.
Yeah.
What's the significance of that?
So we've been working with Colt for probably a couple of years. And I think one of the elements of MEF that's really interesting is our concept of LSO. And LSO, one of the core tenets is helping us expand the value of SDN and NFV, not just within one carrier space, but across carriers. And the work with Colt is a great example of how we are expanding the value proposition of an SDN network, that SDN core that I talked about earlier, really across the world. And with this proof of concept, we demonstrated that it's possible to have endpoints in the United States and endpoints in the UK all federated with one network connection. And that's very unique. And so we're excited to not just be talking about this stuff, but we're actually out there making it happen.
This, federating across networks, really current topic, and it's an important one for the industry to address. And you've already mentioned how the MEF is aligning with AT&T's work. What is it about the MEF's work and what it does with the industry that really appeals to AT&T?
So if you think about our journey, AT&T's journey, I think about it in three phases. The first phase was us looking at our own internal network, and we had to rethink how we deliver network services. The traditional way of delivering services wasn't going to work given the demands on the network. So that was phase one, rethink our own core network. Phase two was think about how do we take those same value drivers, deliver them to customers. That's what Network on Demand is all about. Phase three for us is really thinking about how do we drive the industry? How do we expand on these principles in a way that the entire industry starts to evolve? Because we think there's value, not just for us, but for the industry. And I think MEF is a conduit. They're a catalyst for that. And so one of the reasons we're so excited is because we see complete alignment with what we're trying to do and what MEF is trying to do. And we'll work closely together on this.
Josh, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. My pleasure.